What kind of cheese do you want here? We got this stuff.
Well, what is it?
This is open. I don't know what it's.
What is it?
This is the artesian Chico sheep's
That's
milk,
good.
cow's milk, raw.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let's talk about raw milk cheeses.
Yeah.
Isn't cheese bad for you? Isn't it fattening? Isn't cheese something that'll cause you to die early? What do you think, Dad?
Cheese is a good food. It's a fermented food.
What about raw milk cheese versus
And
pasteurized cheese?
and I try to eat only raw milk cheeses because
You're talking, I'll eat.
raw milk is the way cheese should be made.
Why? Why is raw milk so much better? Doesn't the
Because
pasteurization process protect us?
Pasteurization actually denatures the protein in the milk, which makes it more difficult to digest. But when you pasteurize it, you also bump off a bunch of natural enzymes that help to actually preserve the milk.
Oh.
Yeah.
So raw milk isn't just instantly going to kill you?
No. Raw milk is a good food.
Well, the
because you have to, if you're going to consume raw milk, you have to make sure of the source.
right.
And the raw milk will, if it's prepared, with good hygiene,
Right.
will last longer than pasteurized milk.
Like in the refrigerator kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this is just our little snack. We're just having a little snack here. It's about noon, and this is all we're going to have for a little while.
Yeah.
We'll have dinner around 4 o'clock. I lately, like on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, I don't eat anything other than a cup of coffee with a little bit of heavy cream in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat anything until 3 or 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding, because I'm doing the high fat,
Yeah.
that I'm not starving. I'm good and hungry by 3 or 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
and then I eat, and I'm eating one meal a day, several days a week, and then on the weekends, like pretty much Friday through Sunday, I may have a couple of meals, or one day I may have 3 meals. But what I'm finding is, like, one day a week, I'm eating the same amount of food as I used to eat every single day. And I'm not constantly hungry. I'm not obsessed with food. I'm not feeling like I'm starving myself. It's really, the fat makes you feel full. And this whole low-fat process that our entire country has been experimenting with for the last 50 years, perhaps 40 years, is based on flawed science. And just look around. Just look around at all the low-fat bodies. Just go to Walmart someday, right? And just notice what the working poor look like, right? You can tell rich people from poor people because the rich people are thin and the poor people are not. That used to be the opposite. Used to be the jolly fat man was jolly because he was wealthy and he could afford to buy as much food as possible. And the poor people were skinny because they never got enough food. Well, recent research shows that when you actually undernourish yourself a little bit, like as in intermittent fasting, you actually can live longer. Studies show in mice and rats that animals that aren't overfed live longer. What a surprise. That's like the natural state of the world. We didn't have a refrigerator. We had to get up in the morning and spend the day chasing down our next meal. Yeah. So we got exercise, and we didn't eat all the time. We often went for a day or two, sometimes 3, maybe as long as a week, without any food while we were looking for it. So our body had to develop a mechanism to be able to search for food when there wasn't any. And that's called burning your fat reserves, right? That's the whole system. Is we have a body that can store fat in times of plenty for a time when there's not so much.
Yep.
But we've turned that all around, plus we have all this factory food. And again, if you are reading a label, that's not whole food, right? If there's a label and multiple ingredients, some of which you don't know what they are because they have chemical names, that's not whole food. And the idea is that you want to, I would say 98% of your diet needs to be whole foods, low carb, healthy fats, which we'll get into another time, and plenty of leafy green vegetables, right? I'm growing microgreens in my house.
Yeah.
And you're a part of a community-supported agriculture group up here where you live. So there's a lot we're going to talk about in the future. Today is Father's Day, and I'm making a bunch of videos with my dad. We're just kind of doing some tests here to see what's the best camera angle, and wouldn't this be a kind of a cool project for a father and a son to do? Because most guys, if they want to do something with their dad, they take them fishing or they take them to some sport event, and we're not into any of that shit because that's all manipulation by the mainstream media. That's all keeping people distracted from the fact that we're being fed crap, the world is being poisoned, and the economy is about to crash because of the wheelings and dealings of the bankers and the oligarchy, the capitalistic, and I'm a capitalist, but I'm not an oligarchic capitalist. I'm a free market capitalist, perhaps. Maybe I'm a libertarian. Maybe I'm an anarchist. I don't know. But all I'm knowing is that I have the ability to learn. I have the ability to implement the things I've learned and to try them in my own life and to see if they work. And what I've noticed is that the fat for fuel process, I've never felt better. I worked on Friday, I put in some hard work, physical labor from about 9 in the morning all the way till 2:30 the following morning. I had a couple of breaks. And so I only got 4 hours of sleep the night before. Then I drove up here 4 hours after putting in a couple of really intense days. And I felt fine. I had plenty of energy to burn. That's not the way I used to be. I used to need a nap, like a couple of naps a day. I could barely make it through the day without at least 1 or 2 naps. I had low blood sugar all the time. I was constantly hungry. I would eat high carb foods and then kind of crash. And it was not a recipe for success. And that got me depressed because I didn't have enough energy to do my music. I didn't have enough energy to do the things I wanted to do with my life. And here I had an example of a guy who was actually taking care of his body and taking care of his life. And I looked over at him and I noticed my mom was dead and my dad was doing really well. Maybe I should listen to him. So I started instead of making fun of him, I started implementing some of his suggestions. I did not like eating fermented food. I did not like sauerkraut, but now I eat sauerkraut every day. Right? I liked eating Reese's peanut butter cups and Oreo cookies, but I stopped eating that crap. I never was a big juice or soda drinker, but I used to drink milk a lot. I drank a lot of milk growing up. And I used to have cereal. Raisin Bran was one of my favorites. I'd just have a big bowl of cereal.
Right.
Raisin Bran with bananas.
Yeah.
And then I thought I would make it healthy by putting some granola in there. Well, you're laughing because you know granola is full of sugar and it's still made with grains, and they may throw a few nuts in there.
Well, I used to push the whole grain diet.
Mm-hmm. Right, because that was a radical departure from white bread.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right, and I would say whole grain bread is better than white bread, but it's still sugar.
Right. But I want to mention this, and that is that Mark, got me interested in doing laps when he was a freshman in college. So I started doing that.
Laps in a pool, meaning?
Laps in the pool.
Swimming in the pool.
And I didn't start out doing big distances, but I think I started out doing about 10 laps or 10 lengths of the pool or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But I worked up to a mile, and I used to get in the pool 5 days a week and swim a mile every time I got in the pool.
Yeah, and you changed that.
Yeah, I changed that because I realized that that's really more aerobic exercise than you need.
Right.
And it's too repetitive.
Right.
And a much better exercise would be doing an interval training. And so that's what I do now.
Which would be what is known as high intensity interval training, or HIIT. And we'll talk about that more in future episodes. And one of the, excuse me, my nose is running for some reason here because I'm working on my allergies, making progress on those whole other topic. But the high intensity interval training is where you go, let's say, for 90 minutes, 90 seconds at a regular pace, and then for 30 seconds you really, really push, right? And so you can do basically 8 of those, and that's your workout, and you're done.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do more of that than you can recover from. So that's really some of the radical, very simple ideas is, after you do an intense workout, you need to rest. If you do the same workout every day, you may think you're doing yourself a benefit, just like these marathon runners think they're doing it for their health, but they're literally stressing their bodies beyond what is necessary. You want to be able to keep your body in enough shape so that if for some real reason you need to do a marathon, you need to pull an all-nighter to get something done that has to be done, or you're dealing with some stressful situation and you need to be alert and awake and ready to go, your training will support that. But if you do that every day, you're not going to have anything in the tank when you really need to pull it out. So the idea is to eat the kinds of foods and to move your body in the kind of way and to think the kinds of thoughts that give you an edge in every area of your life, and to make that life fabulous, enjoyable, and something that inspires other people to work on themselves, to work on their minds, to work on their bodies. And if we all did that, food sold in boxes with a bunch of chemical additives wouldn't sell. No one would want to buy it. If everybody insisted on whole food grown on organic farms, that in and of itself could cause a positive change throughout the world. So what we're talking about, this is the real battlefield. It's a peaceful battlefield. It's a battlefield of new ideas and inspiration that can immediately impact your life in a positive, healing, hopeful, healthy way. My name is Mark Shepard. I talk a lot. This is my dad, Louis Shepard. I love him. And this is Father's Day. We're making a bunch of videos, and we're just talking about stuff. This is what we talk about. And I wanted to preserve some of these conversations, and I'll try not to curse as much as I normally curse, but you know what? That's fun too. And anything else you want to say before we stop this one?
No.
No? You said it all?
Yeah, it's been so well said that I don't have anything else. enter upon the subject.
Okay, well, thank you. But we will be back with more. And
Yeah.
my dad is always and constantly researching and learning. And he had a little temporary setback recently. He had a little car accident. And so his artificial leg is not yet ready to be worn again. And so he's not as mobile as he normally is. So we're going to pick his brain. But it's an opportunity for him to do more research and to decide what he wants to do for the next 20 years of his life. And this is kind of our project together. Other guys take their dad fishing. I do videos with my dad. And later on, maybe I'll play some music. And we may have a little friend over.
Yeah.
And we're having a good time.
Yeah.
My name is Mark Shepard. This is Lou Shepard. Over and out. And we'll see what this looks like. See you on the inside.